Ah, there you are. This is Michael A. Rathel from WestStat, and welcome to my SAS Global Forum 2020 presentation. Let's go ahead and get started. Well, the presentation is a program to compare two SAS format catalogs. Now, SAS programmers are sometimes faced with the task of determining the differences between two SAS format catalogs. I mean, maybe you received an updated format catalog from a collaborating organization, or maybe a colleague of yours updated the format catalog to reflect changes in the underlying data. But no matter which case it is, how do you determine the differences between the old format catalog and a new format catalog? Well, the tried and true way of doing it has always been to go ahead and output each format catalog using the FMTLIB option of proc catalog and then manually comparing them. Well, that's fine, but it's if you have very, very small format catalogs, and it's relatively easy to compare them. But the whole system breaks down. It becomes error-prone and cumbersome when you have very, very large format catalogs with many, many entries and many, many different catalogs within them. So the thing is, you need a better way of doing it. And that's why I created the Compare to SAS Format Catalogs utility. It's a SAS macro program that compares the entries of two catalogs. We have base, which is the catalog to use as the basis for the comparison. And we have data, the catalog compared to the base catalog. And when we execute this macro, it's going to look for mismatches between the two format catalogs, mismatches in format name, start, the beginning value, n, the ending value, and label. The program can produce up to 4 mismatch reports: catalog entries that are found in the base but are not found in comp, catalog entries found in comp but are not found in base, catalog entries that are found in base and comp with mismatch values for end, and finally, catalog entries found in base and comp with mismatched values for label. And then the greatest of all possibilities, and hopefully this is where we end up, it could possibly produce a report with no differences found between entries in the base and comp catalog. The Compare to SAS Format Catalogs utility macro program requires 5 parameters to be specified. You need to specify baseline, and that's the directory holding the format catalog that will be used as the basis for the comparison. So it's going to be the full path to that directory. Basecat is the catalog you want to use as the base for comparison. CompLib is the full path to the directory holding the format catalog that you want to compare. And of course, CompCat is going to be the catalog, the name of the catalog that you want to compare to the base catalog. And finally, reports is the directory where you want your reports to be written to. This is what the invocation of the macro utility looks like. And you can see that we have specified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Baseline, the base catalog resides in C, :/temp mycats. And the name of the base catalog is chips FMT. The compare library, CompLib, is C: :/temp mycats. And the name of the catalog that we're going to compare to CHIPS format is CHIPS FM2. And then finally, we want to have any reports that are generated from this written to the Rathel programs proc format reports directory. So what we're going to go over in the next 10 to 15 minutes is the following. We're going to go through my program step by step. I like to break my programs into individual steps to do a specific function. So step 1 will be live name allocations. Step 2, dump the contents of the base SAS catalog. Step 3, dump the contents of the comp SAS catalog. Step 4, match merge base and comp. Step 5, create report datasets and macro flags to identify empty datasets. And finally, step 6, create reports of the mismatches. I'll have some concluding remarks, and we'll go from there. So step 1 is live name allocations. First, what we do is we have a live name for base live, and we're going to specify the directory holding the SAS format library you want to use as the base for comparison. Then, of course, a live name for FMTLIB, where we specify the directory holding the SAS format library you want to compare. Very, very straightforward. We do this kind of thing in our sleep. And it looks like this. Here you can see step one, and we have the first live name statement, base live. And then don't forget, we're passing in the full path directory as macro variable ampersand base live, and that'll resolve right there. Similarly, live name FMTLIB, and FMTLIB is a macro variable, which will resolve to the full path of the comparison library. Next is step two, dump the contents of the base catalog. And what we're going to do in this step is we're going to execute proc format with the base format catalog as the input. And we're going to specify the CNTL out equal option to create an output SAS data set. And when we do that, there are many, many variables that get popped out of that. But we're only going to save the following: format name, start, end, and label. And after we do that, or while we're doing that, we're going to change the name of end to base end, since we're dealing with the base catalog. And we're going to change the name of label to base label, since we're, again, dealing with the base catalog. And after we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sort the data set by format name and start for the upcoming match merge in step number 4. This is what the code looks like, very, very straightforward. Again, we have our proc format, library equals baselive dot ampersand basecat, and that's going to resolve to the name of the base catalog. And we're using CNTL out. We're going to create a SAS data set called format base, and we're only keeping 4 variables: format name, start, end, and label. And we're renaming end to base end and label to base label. After we do that, a very straightforward proc sort to sort it into merging order. Now that we've done that for the base catalog, let's do the same thing for the comp catalog. We execute proc format with the comp format catalog as input, and we're again specifying the CNTL out equal option to create an output SAS data set. And we're only going to save the following variables: format name, start, end. And on this one, we're naming end to comp end, since it's the comp data set. We're naming label, renaming label to comp label, and we're sorting it for the future merge. The code is very, very similar to what we did for base, and it looks like this: the proc format, FMTLIB dot ampersand compcat, which resolves to the name of the comparison catalog that we've passed into the macro. The same type of thing where we're only keeping format name, start, end, and label, and then we're renaming end to comp end and label to comp label, doing our proc sort for the upcoming merge. Well, we've been talking about the upcoming merge, and it is upon us. What we're going to do in step 4 is we're going to do a match merge. We're going to merge the format base and format comp SAS data sets by format name and start. And when we do this, we're going to create up to 3 possible SAS data sets, from 1 to 3. We're going to create an output data set called both cats, and that's going to contain catalog entries that match on format name and start. We're going to create base cat only, and it's the catalog entries that are only found in the base catalog, not in the comp catalog. We're going to drop the variables comp end and comp label, since we won't really need them. They would be missing values anyway. And then we're going to create possibly a third one called a comp cat only. And those are catalog entries only found in the comp catalog. And we're going to drop base end and base label, because they would just be missing values for that output data set. This is what the very, very simple SAS code looks like. We're creating data, both cats, or possibly base cats only, dropping comp end and comp label, or comp cat only, dropping base end and base label. So we're creating possibly these 3 data sets. And we're merging the format base in equals A, format comp in equals B by format name and start. Now, if A and B, meaning that we matched completely on format name and start, then we're going to write the entries out into both cats. If it's A and not B, meaning that it was only in the base catalog, we're going to, and not in the comp catalog, we're going to write the entry out to the base cat only SAS data set. And if it's B and not A, meaning that it was only in the comparison catalog and not in the base catalog, we're going to write it out to the comp cat, to the comparison data set. Here's an example. We're going to take a look at 3 examples of the files created by this. So the first one is both cats. And you can see here that on format name and start, we had 9 entries that were matched 1 for 1 on format name and start between the base catalog and the comp catalog. You can see format name, start, the base ending value, the base label, the comp ending value, and the comp label. So those were direct matches. But look at this. We ended up with 2 entries that were in the base catalog that were not in the comp catalog. So the format name for them was binary, and the first one had a start value of 0, and an end value of 0, and a base label of 0, and similarly a start value of 1 and 1 and a base label of 1. So those were only in the base but not in the comp. Here we have in the comp catalog, these are entries that were in the comparison catalog but not in the base catalog. And you can see there are 3 of them. For the age cat format, we had and a start value of 17 was one of them. And then we had a Mike B-Day, 2 of those. One, the start was other, and the other one, the start was 0427. So these are mismatches between the 2 catalogs. Now that we have done that, we've done our match merging, we're in a good position to go ahead and create a couple more report data sets. And then finally, we're going to create some flags to identify the report data sets that are empty. So we create 2 data sets from the both cats SAS data set. And let me remind you, the both cats SAS data set is the data set that was created when observations from both data sets matched on they matched on the format name and on the start value. So the first of the 2 we're going to create is end mismatch. So there's our observations where the values of base end and comp end are not equal. So they matched on format name and start, but the end value was not equal. Similarly, we're going to create one data set called label mismatch. Notice our observations where the values of base label and comp label are not equal. Here's the code to do that. Data and mismatch. Set both cats where equals base end is not equal to comp end. And those will be popped into end mismatch. Similarly, data label mismatch. Set both cats where base label is not equal to comp label. So now we've done most of the heavy lifting. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a series of macro variables. And these macro variables are going to govern the reports that we eventually print. You don't want to end up trying to print a report out on an empty data set. And what this is going to do is it's going to determine if we have any mismatches in any of the mismatched data sets that we've created. So we're going to create macro variable flags, base cat only, comp cat only, and mismatch and label mismatch. And base cat only is going to be set to 1 if there are observations that exist in the base cat only data set. Comp cat only set to 1 if there are observations in the comp cat only data set. End mismatch, observations exist in the end mismatch data set. And label mismatch is set to 1 if observations exist in the label mismatch data set. Here's the code to do this. It's probably the most, I'll put this in quotes, complicated example that we have, but it's really not that bad. We have a data null step, and we're reading in sashelp.vtable, where library equals work. And in the work library, we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 SAS data sets, base cat only, comp cat only, and mismatch and label mismatch. And what we're doing is we're reading in the metadata for them from the vtable SAS table. And when it's base cat only, if the number of observations is greater than 0, then we're using calls input to set the base cat only macro variable to 1. Otherwise, we're going to set it to 0. Same thing for comp cat only. If the number of observations in the COMCAT-only SAS dataset are greater than 0, we're going to set the COMCAT macro variable to 1. Otherwise, it's going to remain at 0. We do the same for N mismatch and label mismatch, setting those macro variables to 1 if we have any mismatches in those various data sets. Well, we've done all of the heavy lifting, and now it's time for us to reap the benefits of what we have done and create reports of the mismatches. So we're going to execute a series of %if, %then, %do, %n macro statements to create the appropriate report when a macro flag variable has been set to 1, which we did in the previous step. Reports are written to a Microsoft Word document, but you could just as easily write it to another ODS destination, such as Excel or PDF, or if you're still playing around with RTF, you can do it that way also. And what we're going to do is we have 5 possible reports, catalog entries found in base, and we're going to have in the name of the base catalog, but not found in comp, the name of the comp catalog, catalog entries found in comp, but not found in base, catalog entries that were found in base and comp with mismatched values for N, and catalog entries that are in base and comp with mismatched values for label. And then finally, another possibility, of course, is no difference is found between entries in the base catalog and the comp catalog. This is what the first report looks like. So we have %if base cat only equals 1, that macro variable set to 1, then we're going to do everything between the %do and the %n. We're using simple ODS Word, file equals ampersand reports. That's going to resolve to the full path of the reports directory that you passed into the macro way earlier. And it's going to create a file that has a very long file name. It starts with catalog entries found in base, and then we're going to have in the middle of that file name, which is going to resolve to the name of the base catalog, but not found in comp, and that's going to resolve to the name of the comp catalog, .docx. Very long file name, but very descriptive. A very simple product print. We're product printing from base cat only, variable start, base label, and it should be base name. And we're doing it by format name, ID format name, and then we have a title statement, 2 title statements. And then in our footnote, we're saying base catalog is, and we're putting the name of the base catalog in, and then the base lib, which is going to be the full path of the library where the base catalog is found. And same thing with the comp catalog, the name of the comp catalog, and a comp library. So then that way, in the footnotes, you can know exactly what directory and what catalogs you were comparing. We have, and this is what an example of that looks like. So we have catalog entries found in base that are not in the comp catalog when attempting to match on format name and start. You can see the start value, the base label, and the different values. Similarly, we have, we're doing the same thing for comp cat only. And these were ones that were found in the comparison catalog, but not in base. The code is exactly the same, except it's aimed at comp. And here you can see the example of the output. We do the same thing when in creating catalog entries with a mismatch on end. And in this example, the output is both of them matched on format name and start, but the base end said high, but the comp end said 16. Definitely got to look into that. And then we have the same example for where there was a mismatch on label. Here's an example of that. And you can see that there were 3 entries overall that mismatched on label. For the format name AgeCat and with a start of 15, base label was older teen, while the comp label was medium teen. Similarly, for a chip type of 2, base label was Lay's, while the comp label was Michael's. And for a chip type with a start of 3, we had kettle chips versus just simply kettle, something that we will definitely have to look into. Is that good or bad? Well, who knows? And then finally, we have code for if there were no mismatches at all. So if base cat only equals 0, if macro variable flag was 0, and comp cat only was 0, and end mismatch was 0, and label mismatch was 0, then there were really no differences found between the two catalogs. And so in that case, we create a very, very simple report. And it's going to be a report that says no differences found between entries in the base and comp catalogs. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and print out all of the entries for both catalogs. And that's what that report's going to look like. And in that way, it kind of serves as like an audit trail. Not only are we stating that there were no differences, but we're reflecting back what we found in both catalogs. So, in this presentation, I introduced the Compare to SAS Format Catalogs utility program. And this can be used to compare two SAS format catalogs and find differences between format name, start, end, and label. And we create reports that you can use to research and document the differences between the two catalogs. This is a programmatic solution that's way, way, way better than the previous solutions that we had, which were just simply printing them out, two different copies, putting them on our desk, and looking at them side by side to determine whether or not we had differences. So definitely a better way to go. Well, obviously, in this type of format, there's no way that I can really take questions. It just doesn't work. But I would love to have your questions and comments. So go ahead and send them to me at my email address, michaelrathel@westat.com. That's michaelrathel@westat.com. And you'll see it also in the paper in the SAS Global Forum proceedings. Well, that's it for this presentation. I really do appreciate you joining me today. And I look forward to getting your comments. And best of luck to you and all of your SAS endeavors. Thank you.